Okay, so now you are gonna get another SummerSlam review added to the SummerSlam playlist that I've created on this channel. I am now going to be doing another SummerSlam review, and if you want to check out the other SummerSlam reviews, you can click right up here, and you can check out all the other SummerSlam reviews that I have done on this YouTube channel. However, you are not going to find SummerSlam 2013 review on this channel. You have to go to the CM Brothers channel, but luckily for you, I'm going to post the SummerSlam 2013 review down below, and you guys can check it out there. And if you want to subscribe to CM Brothers to check out future content on that channel, you can click right here. That's how you cross promote a YouTube channel. So you have a lot of good stuff that you can already go watch right now. But now I'm going to be doing this SummerSlam review. Um, this is now WWF SummerSlam 1990 review. WWF stands for World Wrestling Federation, if you didn't know. Um, and this show was actually pretty enjoyable for the most part. I actually did enjoy this show, watching it back. I This is the first time I've seen this show because I didn't grow up during that time of wrestling, but it's still nice to watch this show. It's a nice old school show, and it's a really good show. It does get a little bit weird at times. There's one thing that they do on the show that seems like a waste of time, but as they bring it up, as they progress it, um, throughout the show, you understand why they did that part in the show. And when I get to that part, I will give my thoughts on it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's start with this SummerSlam. So let me get my notes up. So, like I said, this is WWF SummerSlam 1990 review. So this is gonna be this is from the 1990. The started of the 90s, in that generation. So we had Roddy Piper and Vince McMahon on commentary for the show. Um, I thought they actually did a pretty good job on commentary. Not as good as the first two SummerSlams with the commentary, but I thought they did a pretty good job on commentary. Vince McMahon's actually really good on commentary. He's good at doing the play-by-play stuff. And Roddy Piper, he could get awkward at times on commentary, but he actually was pretty good on commentary. And I think it's nice to have someone that's actually been in the ring and knows how to be in the ring to be on commentary, because they know what the moves to do, and they can give more of an insight of what it's like to be in the ring. So I like that. And this SummerSlam, hold on one second, I lost my notes. Um, this SummerSlam kicked off with another tag team match. It seems like every year so far in SummerSlam they kicked off with a tag team match, so I like that. Um, and it was the Walkers, which consist of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, versus Power and Glory with Slick ringside, and Power and Glory consisted of Paul Rama and Hercules. I guess Hercules had turned heel since last year's SummerSlam, because last year he was a face and this year he's a heel, and they formed the tag team with Paul Rama, and there was a nice powerhouse tag team. Like I said in the last video, the tag team division during this time period was really good. You had a lot of good tag teams like the Rockers, like Power and Glory, and you're going to see more tag teams throughout this show. You had a lot of good tag teams wrestling in this show, a great tag team division. I wish they had more of this nowadays in the WWE. But let's get right to this match. Before the match starts, Power and Glory attack the Rockers, and Hercules uses the chain that he usually brings to the ring. If you can't really understand what I'm saying, I have like a stuffy nose. I'm sorry, allergies, and he takes the chain and he hits Shawn Michaels right in the leg, injuring him. So in the beginning of the match, Marty Jannetty has to go in a 2-on-1 situation against Power and Glory. And he actually does a pretty good job holding them off for a while. He hits a nice double drop kick onto Power and Glory. He hit a roll up. I think Hercules went for a body slam, and he hit a roll up on him, but Slick distracted the referee so he couldn't get the pinfall. And Shawn Michaels kept trying to get back in this match, but Power and Glory kept knocking him down. Um, and eventually, the numbers game was too much for Marty Jannetty, and Hercules hits a suplex, and Paul Roma hits a splash off the top on Marty Jannetty for the win. So Power and Glory go over here, and then afterwards they continue to beat down Shawn Michaels, and then it's so bad that Shawn Michaels has to get stretchered out of the ring. But to be honest with you, I thought this was actually a nice tag team match here. I thought it delivered, even though it was mainly a handicap match. Um, I actually liked what they did here. I like how they made Power and Glory look like a strong tag team. To be honest with you, it made me want to root for the Walkers because they seemed like they were like this underdog tag team, and you really wanted them to win this match. And I actually thought they were going to end up overcoming the odds. Shawn Michaels was going to finally get back in this match, and they were going to end up winning, but it didn't happen. So I liked this here. I like this match here, even though it wasn't a tag team match. I liked what they did with this match. They made Power and Glory look like a threat to that they could be future WWF at World Tag Team Champions. So I like this. Next, Mr. Perfect and Bobby the Brain Heenan got interviewed, and at the time, Mr. Perfect was the current reigning and defending Intercontinental Champion, and Mr. Perfect cuts and a promo talking about how he's straightly perfect because he is defending that title on the show against the Texas Tornado, and the Texas Tornado is also known as Kerry Von Erich. Um, and I don't know why he couldn't come in as Kerry Von Erich, but whatever. I'll never know. And Mr. Perfect talked, and he only had like 10 days to prepare for this match, but Mr. Perfect pretty much talked about how he's so perfect, it doesn't matter how much time he needs to prepare for matches. He's just so perfect, he's just going to go in there and retain his Intercontinental Championship. And Bobby the Brain Heat cuts a great promo, talking about how a Texas tornado, once you see it, it looks threatening, but once it gets to you, it doesn't do anything. Um, Pretty much puts down the Texas Tornado, saying that they're gonna put down Mr. Perfect is going to beat the Texas Tornado and retain the Intercontinental Championship. And I really like this a lot here. Um, Bobby the Brain Heenan cut a great promo. To be honest with you, Bobby the Brain Heenan probably is my favorite manager, just because he's really good at promos. I really like Bobby the Brain Heenan. Um, Next, Mr. Perfect with was that title match. Mr. Perfect with Bobby the Brain Heenan ringside, and Mr. Perfect was defending the Intercontinental Championship against the Texas Tornado. The Texas Tornado before this got interviewed, and he pretty much said that he's going to cause a tornado. He's going to come out of the clouds, because that's what tornadoes do. He's going to cause chaos. He's going to beat Mr. Perfect, and he's going to go back up on the clouds, and with that Intercontinental Championship. To be honest with you, that promo was actually a really solid promo. Even though it was a weird promo, I still think that it delivered. And I really like the gimmick, kind of, to be honest with you. I think like it connects with the fans, and it's actually a pretty cool character of a Texas Tornado. It's really cool. I mean, it's not the best gimmick probably, but I actually think it's kind of a cool gimmick. I'm probably going to be the only one that thinks this, but I thought this was really cool. And the match actually wasn't that long. Um, the Texas Tornado picks up Mr. Perfect in a move, and then eventually he hits a spinning punch right onto Mr. Perfect, covers him, and becomes the brand new Intercontinental Champion. I didn't expect this at all. I actually thought that Mr. Perfect was going to retain the championship because he was on like such a perfect streak, and you know, he was on this reign. I thought Mr. Perfect was going to continue this reign, but the Texas Tornado won. I'm happy about this. And that's really all I have to say here. But the match was actually okay for what it was. but it was a nice moment to see the Texas Tornado, and it was like a shocking moment too. It wasn't like it was I think that's why I like about this match. It didn't need to be too long. It was nice. It was a nice surprise, and Mr. Perfect even said that he didn't have a lot of time to prepare for him. So you can't really go in there knowing what to do right away. You can't have like a long match because you don't really know how to prepare for your opponent. I think that's what I liked about this match. They brought that into effect. So then Gene Okerlund's backstage, and yeah, I forget what he was doing backstage to be honest with you, but Mr. Perfect and Bobby the Brain Heenan come up ranting about the fact that the Texas Tornado stole his Intercontinental Championship, and Bobby the Brain Heenan said the referee's blind, his shoulder was clearly up, but he still counted to three anyways, and Mr. Perfect says that he's going to get that back, his Intercontinental Championship. They just pretty much ranted. It was like the year before when Rick Rude lost the IC title to Ultimate Warrior. This is exactly what they did, and to be honest with you, it was really cool, and I liked it here. It's just awesome. So next, Sensational Queen Sherry faces Sweet Sapphire, sort of. Uh, they play Sweet Sapphire's music. She never shows. Um, and well, it wasn't really her music; it was Dusty Rhodes' music. Because this match was taking place because Macho King, Randy Savage, and Dusty Rhodes were in the feud, so they were feuding. So I guess they decided to have a match here, and Sweet Sapphire never shows up. Sweet Sapphire was brought in too because she was like Dusty Rhodes' manager, because they had that polka dots gimmick and stuff like that. Um, and then they just have pretty much they keep playing her music, and pretty much what happens, somebody comes out and tells them that if she doesn't come to the win within 30 seconds, Sensational Queen Sherry wins by a forfeit. So she never does, and Sensational Queen Sherry ends up winning by a forfeit. um, and to be honest with you, when I was watching this, I'm like, that was a waste of time, but then they do more with this later, so remember that. They were pretty much, because Sapphire really wasn't a wrestler, so they were pretty much playing that to effect, or they were assuming that she was kidnapped or something. But we're gonna see what happens with this. So then Dusty Rhodes gets interviewed, and he doesn't really know what's going on. He said that he saw Sweet Sapphire, but then she disappeared 10 minutes before her match. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan comes up. He asks where she is, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan says that he hasn't seen her. So Dusty Rhodes is gonna go look for Sweet Sapphire. Uh, I like this because it shows concern for Sweet Sapphire. Then we have the Warlord with Slick ringside versus Tito Santana. Um, this was actually a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. Tito Santana did great in this match. Tito Santana had some nice sick drop kicks in this match. Some nice sick. I think he did hit a Hurricane in this match. There was one spot where he tried to the Warlord tried to like power bomb him, and Tito Santana kept punching him in the face, and he ended up falling down. That was really cool. The Warlord ended up throwing Tito Santana's spine first into the steel post. Then eventually Tito Santana makes a comeback. Then he tries to hit his finish on him, but the Warlord count. I believe Slick distracted the referee, and that Tito Santana punched Slick. Then the Warlord hit a power slam on Tito Santana for the win. The match actually was okay, at best. Um, what I didn't like about it was that the Warlord won. I don't really agree with that. I think Tito Santana had more talent than the Warlord did. The Warlord was a nice big guy and everything, but I just think you can get more out of Tito Santana. So I don't really agree with the winner, but maybe that's just me. But I just like Tito Santana better. So what happened next? Demolition got interviewed. Demolition consists of Axe, Smash, and now Crush. So now Crush is incorporated into Demolition, and at the time they were the WWF World Tag Team Champions, the Demolition, and it was like they were using the Freebird rule, because could all defend the tag team titles, and they were cutting promos, talking about how because in this match they're supposed to face the Hart Foundation, which consists of Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and they do this. They only two of them can be in the like. Only two of them can show up to the match. One of them has to stay to the back, I guess. And they were cutting promos about that, like which two are you gonna get? You're gonna get Axe, you're gonna get Smash, you're gonna get Crush. Which two are you gonna get? You're not really sure. They say they're gonna destroy the Hart Foundations like they always have. And then next, because the Legion of Doom, which consists of Hawk and Animal, they say that whether the Legion of Doom or the World Warriors, I don't know what they were called at this time, and they say that they're gonna, after they beat them, because I guess they were like the next in line for the tag team titles, they're gonna destroy the World Warriors after they get done with the Hart Foundation, and that was it. I thought this was a nice promo here. They weren't like the best on promos, but the character fits the promo, so I like that. And yeah, I liked it. And it was a 2 out of 3 falls match too. So let's get to the match. So we had Demolition defending the World Tag Team Championships against the Hart Foundation in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Before the match, the Hart Foundation got interviewed, and they figured that Demolition would pick Axe and Smash to be in the match since they have more experience as a tag team. So they were really prepared for them. So they were shocked about that. That's what Bret Hart said. But Jim the Anvil Neidhart said that he doesn't get paid to think, he just gets paid to go in there and fight. And the Hart Foundation talk about how they're going to beat Demolition no matter who it is and become the brand new World Tag Team Champions. I thought they cut a decent promo here. They're not the best talkers on the microphone, but they weren't bad here. So the match itself delivered. If you want to watch like a match for wrestling purposes, this is it, because this match, in-win-wise, was the match of the night. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, but I did like it a lot. The Hart Foundation dominated Demolition, and I should mention, by the way, that Smash and Crush ended up wrestling this match. I didn't mention that. And then eventually what happened is the Hart Foundation were dominated. Then Demolition dominated Jim the Anvil Neidhart for a little bit. Then Bret Hart got the hot tag, went off on Demolition. And everybody just eventually started fighting with each other. And then they took out Jim the Anvil Neidhart. They even said on commentary, too, like, where he is, because they couldn't find him. And eventually Bret Hart loses the first fall because I think it was Crush kneed Bret Hart in the spine, and then the Smash went off the top and took out Bret Hart, and they got the first fall off that by pinfall. And they dominate Bret Hart for a while. They get the heat on him, and then Bret Hart makes the hot tag on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He starts going off on Demolition, and they do the slingshot shoulder block, and then Jim the Anvil Neidhart picks up Bret Hart into like a reverse power slam and lands him right onto, I believe it was Crush. I don't remember who it was. The way you could tell is Crush was shorter than Smash, or vice versa. I think Smash was shorter than Crush, but I don't remember because I saw this match like a day ago. So yeah, but then the Hart Foundation hit the heart attack. I'm just gonna say it was Crush. No, I would say it was Smash, and Crush comes in, and because he's gonna try to break up the pinfall because the Hart Foundation are going for the pin, and he takes out the referee, and the referee calls for disqualification, so the Hart Foundation wins the second fall. And during this, because they took out Bret Hart, they get the heat on Bret Hart because they take out Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and during this, Axe ran under the ring, and they switch places. Axe is actually in the match now, and this makes sense. And this is bad for the Hart Foundation. They don't know this. The ref doesn't know this because he was distracted by Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Axe is all fresh, so it's hard for the Hart Foundations to really win. And they dominate Bret Hart for a while, and eventually it just is bad for the Hart Foundation. Um, but Jim the Anvil Neidhart's brawling with Crush and Axe and Smash on double teaming Bret Hart outside the ring because the referee doesn't see this. And then eventually the Road Warriors come out and they take out the because I think they switched places. They take out Axe to show what was going on, and then it's a chaos ensues, and Jim the Anvil hits a shoulder block again, and I believe Crush trips, and Bret Hart rolls him up for the win, and the Hart Foundation win the World Tag Team Championships, and that was really awesome. There, I really liked the finish. That the Demolition ended up getting outsmarted here, and I really like the Hart Foundation as a tag team, so I like that they won the tag titles. I don't think it was their first reign because they would have said so on commentary, and I liked it here. And it was a really good tag team match. Like I said, if you want to watch like a good in-win wise, like a good in-win wrestling match, this is the match of the night. But I have a different match. So then the Legion of Doom. That's the name of the tag team. It wasn't the Road Warriors. I think they became the Road Warriors later on. But the Legion of Doom get interviewed and say that the Demolition has been pulling these tricks for months now, so it was time that they got outsmarted, and they say that they want to get their hands on Demolition. And then the Hart Foundation come up and says they're not going to hide behind the tag team championships. They're going to take on all comers no matter who it is. And that was really it there. I thought this was nice. Um, then Sean Mooney, one of the broadcasters, tries to get a word with Demolition, but they're not coming out. So, yeah, because they're pissed off about losing the tag team championships. Then Sensational Queen Sherry gets interviewed, and she's pretty much gloated about a victory over Sapphire. But Mean Gene Oakland says, you didn't really win. You won by a fourth. You're going to accept that. But then Sensational Queen Sherry says something that I like. Well, she was too afraid to come face me. Um, so, that proves that I'm a winner because she was too afraid to come face me. So I like that right there. And then they talk about, because this is going to get important, how she's been getting gifts like a purse, a trip to like Hawaii or something. How she's been getting all these gifts from like a secret admirer or something. And that's going to get used later on in this show. So remember that. And they say there might be rumors here that she might leave Dusty Rhodes, but we're not really sure yet. So remember that. I liked this here though. And then Big Boss Man gets interviewed because he's supposed to be the special guest referee for a match between Jake the Snake Roberts and Bad News Brown. And I'm going to get to why they're feuding when that match happens. And Big Boss Man says that he's going to keep order in the match. He's going to do his job as a referee and keep order. So that was pretty much it there. It was a long promo. That's pretty much all he said. And then Nikolai Volkov and Hacksaw Jim Duggan get interviewed. And a lot of interviews here. This is weird because Nikolai Volkov is pro-America now. Like, in this point. I didn't even know this ever happened. And it's so weird to see that because he's been pro-Russian. He's been what do they call it, Russian? United Nations. Pro-Soviet Union. And it's just so weird. He pretty much talks about how he loves America now. He's opened his arms for America. Because in real life, the USA finished their feud or war. Well, there wasn't much of a war, but it was like a feud between Soviet Union. So that's why this happened here. That was pretty much, and they pretty much cut a promo on these tag team that I forget the name of, the Orient Express, I believe it was called, and how they're gonna beat them in their tag team match. But this was actually really weird because it's so weird because Nikolai Volkov had been pro-Soviet Union since I think he came to the WWF, and all of a sudden he's pro-America. That's just so weird. Like, it gets weirder later on when the match actually happens, and I'll get to that, but it's just weird. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks that, but... So then next, the Earthquake, Dino Bravo, and Jimmy Hart get interviewed, and the Earthquake talks about how he took out Hulk Hogan, and he took out um, Tugboat, who was supposed to be in his corner, and he says that there's going to be history tonight. There's going to be two people going on a stretcher because Big Boss Man's in his corner, and he said he's going to take out Hulk Hogan and put an end to Hulkamania once and all. And Jimmy Hart and Dino Bravo pretty much say the same thing, but this was actually not bad here. Jimmy Hart was pretty good in this promo. Earthquake was okay, and Dino Bravo wasn't that bad. Um, but yeah, this wasn't that bad here. So then Jake the Snake Roberts gets interviewed, and the whole reason that Jake the Snake Roberts is in Bad News Brown are feuding is because Bad News Brown has like a rat. I forget what they called the rat, but it was like one of those New York City rats, and he was afraid that he was gonna get eaten by Jake the Snake Roberts' snake, and Bad News Brown is afraid of snakes, and Jake the Snake Roberts gets asked that. He says he's never been afraid of snakes or rats, and he says that he's gonna kick Bad News Brown's ass, but he cut a really good promo here. Jake the Snake Roberts, what I liked about his promos was he was always so calm, it was always so quiet, and it was just great. It was a different way to cut a promo because everybody usually screams when they cut their promos, but the way Jake the Snake Roberts cuts his promo was really awesome, and it was nice psychology wise, so I liked that. So what I like about these pay-per-views that I've been watching is they put all the interview segments at once to kind of give you a break from the in-ring action, because after that tag team match you needed a break from the in-ring action. You can't just jump into another match, because I feel like nowadays when they do that, the fans are kind of died down from that match, so because it was so good it's tough for that match afterwards to deliver. So when they do these interview segments it makes it worthwhile. But they even take a 5 minute intermission, and this was like the second half of the pay per view. So I did like that there. Um, but next, Bad News Brown wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts, and Big Boss Man was the special guest referee. And Jake the Snake Roberts went for his DDT, and Bad News Brown got out of it. I thought that was a nice touch there. I really enjoyed that. Because Jake the Snake Roberts pretty much is the reason the DDT is a move nowadays. He made that move something, and now everybody just hits it and kicks out of it. But when Jake the Snake Roberts hits it, um, you're done. So Bad News Brown dominates and tries to hit his finish, but Jake the Snake Roberts fights out of it, and then Jake the Snake Roberts goes for his finish. Bad News Brown rolls outside the ring, and then he grabs a chair, hits Jake the Snake Roberts in the ribs. And Bad News Brown takes the chair out of his hand and tells him to get back in the ring. He's trying to enforce the order. Not Bad News Brown, Big Boss Man, I mean. And then Bad News Brown dominates Jake the Snake Roberts for a while, and then Jake the Snake Roberts makes a comeback. He went for a DDT again, and Bad News Brown counters with a big back body drop. And then he goes outside the ring, and Bad News Brown hits Jake the Snake Roberts again in the ribs with a chair. So this time, Big Boss Man actually called for a disqualification. Jake the Snake Roberts wins, and then afterwards, Bad News Brown tries to leg drop the snake and kill the snake, but Big Boss Man moves the I guess the sack that he would keep the snake in, so he missed. So then they get in each other's face. Bad News Brown's gonna back out, but the second Big Boss Man charges back. Bad News Brown attacks him from behind, and then Jake the Snake Roberts puts Damien, which was the snake, around Bad News Brown, and Bad News Brown gets all freaked out and runs off, and then that was the end right there. I thought this was a nice segment, and it just proves Jake the Snake Roberts can pull off both being a heel and a face. I just like it. I like Jake the Snake Roberts matches too. They're nice psychology matches. Um, so I like that. So this was actually pretty good stuff here. Um, do I think there should have been a winner? Um, I guess I would say no, because I always feel like they protected Bad News Brown. Um, because he was supposed to be like a dominant force, and every time I see him wrestle, he never gets pinned or submitted. So I don't mind that there wasn't a winner. And Jake the Snake Roberts stood tall, which I thought was nice. They actually had Bad News Brown's just rats out there, so I thought at the end like he would put Damien in there and he'd eat the rat at the end, but I guess that didn't happen. But guess a guy can dream. So Demolition get interviewed again, and they're pissed that they lost the tag team title, so they pretty much want to get their hands on the Legion of Doom, and they say that Hawk is gonna be they're gonna beat up Hawk so bad that he's gonna end up hawking hot dogs in the crowd, and they're gonna neuter Animal. I thought this was actually pretty good stuff here. And then they say that they're gonna take back their tag team titles from the Hart Foundation. I thought that was pretty good stuff there. Um, and then we get the Brother Love show with Sergeant Slaughter. Brother Love, I like him, Brother Love as a character. I think he pulled it off really well. He had that annoying voice that made everybody hate him. And he even cuts a promo talking about how when you guys were young, you always looked to your parents for guidance because you didn't really know what to do, and now you look for everybody for guidance because you don't have the balls to tell yourself what to do. But not this man, not Sergeant Slaughter. So Sergeant Slaughter comes out, and this is when Sergeant Slaughter had turned his back on America, and he just started his heel run. And he says Sergeant Slaughter says that he's been trying to find a outspoken USA, like he has this award that he's gonna give to a USA guy, and USA citizen, but he couldn't find anybody in the USA, but he gives it to Brother Love, and then he declares war on Nikolai Volkov because he opened up his heart to America. America welcomed him, and he said that you're gonna make America weak. So he cuts a great promo declaring war on Brother Love, not Brother Love, Nikolai Volkov, which I liked there. And this was just the start of Sergeant Slaughter's great heel run, and it gets better. And they were building up to something there. So then the Orient Express and Mr. Fuji get interviewed, and they pretty much say that they're going to destroy Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov and spit on the American flag. Mejan Okerlund backstage, and Sapphire finally shows up, and he's trying to get a word with her, but he can't, so yeah. I like that there, because they were building up to that all the night. Where was Sapphire? Because everybody... Wait, not Sapphire. Was it Sapphire? Yeah, Sapphire. And everybody thought... I thought originally she had gotten kidnapped by Queen... Sensational Queen Sherry and Macho Kid Randy Savage. But I guess that apparently didn't happen. So we were wondering, like, what happened. I thought at first you checking out, but what happens was totally unexpected. Wait till you see what happens. So, next, the Orient Express, which consists... I actually have to look this up because I didn't know. Which consists of Pat Tonga and Sato with... I think this is how you say those names. Pat Tonga and Sato, which is the Orient Express. And they were accompanied by the manager, Mr. Fuji. And they fought Nikolai Volkov and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Before the match, Nikolai Volkov, normally before a match, would perform the Soviet Union national anthem. And he would go like this, and he would sing the national anthem. But this time he sings God Bless America with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It's just so weird to see him doing this. Like, this is something that he would never do. This is something that he was always pro-Russian. Saying like, oh, yeah, like the Russian national anthem. And now he's pro-America. Like, it was just so weird to see. Like, it was, I guess, a nice change, but it was just weird. Then before the match, the Orient Express attack him, and they end up fighting him off, Duggan and Volkov, and they both have atomic drops on the Orient Express. They bump into each other, and then the Orient Express dominate Nikolai Volkov for a while. Then Hacksaw Jim Duggan gets the hot tag, and he starts going off on both of them. And Nikolai Volkov comes in. They start attacking him. They Irish whip the Orient Express into each other, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan hits a clothesline on one of them for the win. So I thought this was a nice match here. I think this was to make this team look strong because Nikolai Volkov was going to be feuded with Sergeant Slaughter eventually down the line, so they wanted to make him look strong. And I like this here. It's just so weird, like I said, to see Nikolai Volkov pro-USA now. It's so weird to see that. And that's what I liked about this, too. It wasn't just the match. It was just the character itself. Sometimes it's not always about the in-ring action, guys. So, next... Dusty Rhodes is backstage, and he's trying to talk to Sapphire, and he says that he doesn't know what's going on, but he has to go to have his match even without Sapphire. because he's supposed to face Macho Kid Randy Savage, and that was really it there. I thought that was a nice thing. So then we got that match. It was Dusty Rhodes versus Macho Kid Randy Savage, and Macho Kid Randy Savage was accompanied by his manager, Sensational Queen Sherry, and before this, Macho Kid Randy Savage cuts a promo saying that there's going to be a rumor that Sapphire is going to leave Dusty Rhodes, and he cuts a pretty good promo there. And before the match, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Virgil are like on the stage, and he talks about how everybody has a price, even Sapphire. And you've been wondering who's been giving her all this stuff. It's been me. And Sapphire comes out with a bucket full of cash, well, with a bag full of cash, and pretty much referencing that she left Dusty Rhodes for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and that's pretty much what they say. And Dusty Rhodes tries to go up on the stage to beat the crap out of Ted DiBiase, but Macho Kid Randy Savage attacks him from behind, beats the crap out of Dusty Rhodes, hits an axe handle off the top rope. Then Dusty Rhodes makes a comeback, like a small one, and then eventually Sensational Queen Sherry distracts the ref, and Randy Savage hits Dusty Rhodes with the post for the win, and that was it there. The match wasn't long, but I think it didn't really need to be that long because Dusty Rhodes was all confused. He was heartbroken after what happened, so he obviously couldn't focus on the match, so you really couldn't have the match be that long, but I still thought this was pretty nice stuff here. I thought this was awesome. So then Ted DiBiase, Virgil, and Sweet Sapphire are being interviewed afterwards, and they pretty much get asked why, but they don't really give much of an explanation. He says, pretty much anything, and they try to leave in their car, in the limousine, and Dusty Rhodes tries to come after him, but he doesn't get there in time. The limousine drives off before he can do it, and I thought that was really good stuff right there. Dusty Rhodes was pissed, and he had a reason to be pissed, so he went right after him. I thought that was nice. Then we had the first of two main events. This SummerSlam had a double main event. The first of two main events. We had Earthquake with Dino Bravo and Jimmy Hart versus Hulk Hogan with Big Boss Man. Hogan and Boss Man, I think, had an interview, but I don't remember really what they said. And this match, I thought actually was pretty good. I actually enjoyed this match. Hogan kept trying to take Earthquake, kept getting the best of Hulk Hogan. He kept taking him down because Earthquake is so big. And then Hogan eventually started just throwing punches, waking him in the eyes, and he eventually got him down, so Earthquake had to regroup. And then Hogan and Big Boss Man start taking out Bravo and Earthquake. They get him in the ring, and they both hit big boots on both guys. And the referee's trying to get Big Boss Man outside the ring, and behind the referee's back, Dino Bravo and Earthquake hit a double body slam on Hulk Hogan. And Earthquake gets the upper hand at this point. He hits an elbow on Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan kicked out of it. He goes off the top and takes out Hulk Hogan. And Earthquake dominates Hulk Hogan for a while. Hogan keeps trying to make a comeback. He tries to hit a body slam on Earthquake, but he ends up but Earthquake is too big, so he ends up like falling on him, and Hogan couldn't pick him up. And then Earthquake got him in a bear hug, but Hogan kept fighting. They do this thing where they were going to put Hogan's arms down, but instead of Hogan just raising his arm up, he actually tears the referee's shirt off to show that he's still in it, which I thought was a nice touch. And then eventually Earthquake hits two Earthquakes, because that was his finish, and on the Hulk Hogan. He hits one of them, then he hits a second one, and Hogan kicked out of it. He starts hulking up, and Hogan starts going off on Earthquake. He beats the crap out of him. He hits his big boot, then he body slams him, hits his leg drop, and as this happens, he's taking out Jimmy Hart and Dino Bravo, and Hogan goes for the cover, but he's distracted by Boss Man, and Jimmy Hart attacks Hogan from behind. Hogan takes out Jimmy Hart. He throws him at Earthquake, and he takes out, and Big Boss Man starts fighting with Dino Bravo, and Earthquake and Hogan start fighting on the outside. Earthquake holds Hogan so Jimmy Hart can hit him with the megaphone, and then he accidentally hits Earthquake. Hogan takes out Jimmy Hart, and then Hogan body slams Earthquake onto a table on the outside. He gets back in the win, and Earthquake couldn't beat the 10 count to get back in the win, so Hogan wins by countout. And I thought this was nice stuff here. I thought this was pretty good stuff. Um, I didn't mind that this match had a weird finish. I usually don't like when matches end off countouts or disqualifications, but I thought it made sense to do it here just due to the fact that there was so much interference that it would have that you really couldn't have a winner, and it was to continue. It continued the feud between Hogan and Earthquake because they do stuff to have this feud continue. So I like this double main event here. The only reason they had a double main event or two was because they wanted Hogan to at least feel like he was in the main event of SummerSlam. That's the reason it was called a double main event. But you know what? I was fine with this because it had a reason to be one of the main events. It was one of the main feuds into SummerSlam. It was personal. Earthquake had taken Hogan out, and Hogan made his comeback, so I was fine with that. So, next, Ravishing Rick Rude and Bobby the Brain Heenan get interviewed. And Ravishing Rick Rude talks about how he's beaten Ultimate Warrior before and he's going to beat him again because Ultimate Warrior has never been in a steel cage match, and that is Ravishing Rick Rude's match. He has the experience, that's his element, and he is going to beat the crap out of him in the cage and become the new World Wrestling Federation champion. And Bobby the Brain Heenan pretty much says the same thing. He talks about how Ravishing Rick Rude's even beaten him before. He's the only guy that beat him in the WWF. So I thought that was a nice touch. That was really all the promo there, and I thought it was a good promo. They always deliver when it comes to the promos. And then Dusty Rhodes cuts an awesome promo. He gets interviewed again, and he says that he may have brought in Sapphire. He even says that he doesn't understand why Sapphire went with Ted DiBiase, and Dusty Rhodes treated her really well. But he said that you may have bought Sapphire, but you can't buy Dusty Rhodes, and you can't buy the American Dream and the way that the common man does the work. You can't buy that lifestyle. And he says that he's going to beat up Ted DiBiase and take him out, and I thought it was great. I thought Dusty Rhodes cut a really awesome promo. I really got into this promo. Dusty Rhodes took this character that was supposed to be bad and really made this work. It connected well with the fans, and if he couldn't cut promos, it probably wouldn't work. But this is what I liked about some of these guys from the 80s. They took, from this time period, the Hogan era, they took characters that probably were supposed to suck, and they made them work, and Dusty Rhodes was one of them. He took that Polka Dots character, and he really made that character work. So next, Hulk Hogan gets interviewed, and he says that he's going to take out Earthquake all over in every arena because they're building new arenas where it's going to be earthquake-proof, and he said he's going to do that to Earthquake, and he says after he gets to Earthquake, he is going to prove to the president, Jack Tunney, that he is worthy of getting back his World Wrestling Federation Championship. He's worthy of being #1 contender again, and that was really it there. I thought it was a nice promo by Hogan, and I thought it was decent here. So then the Earthquake, Dina Bravo, and Jimmy Hart get interviewed again. They pretty much say the same thing. They're going to check out, except they're going to take out Hulk Hogan. And he says that next time he hits that Earthquake finisher, he's going to do more damage to Hulk Hogan. And Dino Bravo even said, because I actually forgot to mention this, afterwards they did an attack angle after the Hogan and Earthquake match. And Earthquake got Hogan into a bear hug, and Big Boss Man was trying to hit Hogan with the Earthquake with the steel chair, but he wouldn't budge. So he says that none of that could stop Earthquake. That's what Dino Bravo said, and that was really it there. I thought that was a nice promo there. So then Ultimate Warrior gets interviewed, and he says that the power of the Warrior is gonna help him win this match, and he says that he's happy to have the privilege to defend this WWF title. And he says he's going to be like his forefathers and defend this title with pride and honor. I thought that he cut a really good promo here. It was really out there, but it made sense, and I really liked his promo here. I thought it was awesome. Let me get the main event. We had Ultimate Warrior defending the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Ravish and Rick Rude, and Ravish and Rick Rude have his manager Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner, and then this match was a steel cage match. This match was awesome. I really liked this match because of the Ultimate Warrior character, because of the match itself. This match also just shows how old school the steel cage matches used to be. I really liked this steel cage match. To be honest with you, this was my favorite match of the night. Um, just because of what was happening in this match. What I really liked about this too was this feud a year ago they had a match for the Intercontinental title, and now they're having a match for the WWF title, the main championship. So that's awesome. And every time you put Warrior and Rude in a just in the ring together in any segment, any match, it's just you're gonna get gold. I think they just have great chemistry in the ring. I think that's just the case. And um, Ultimate Warrior makes before that Ravishing Rick Rude says his normal stick that all you fat SummerSlam hogs, he said that last year, but he pretty much says it again. You should look what a real man looks like. I like when he does that. It's a really good gimmick. Then Ultimate Warrior makes his entrance, and he's running around the cage, and Ravishing Rick Rude gets up on the cage right into Warrior's face, and Warrior climbs the cage, and they start fighting before Warrior even gets in the cage, and Warrior slams Rude's head into the cage. He falls down. Warrior goes off the top and takes him out with an axe handle. And Warrior starts beating the crap out of Rude. He throws him into the cage a bunch of times. And this actually ends up busting open Ravish and Rick Rude. And then eventually Warrior tries to do a splash into the cage. While Rude is there, but Rude moves out of the way and he ends up going head first into the cage. And Rude dominates the match. He throws him into the cage a bunch of times. He grinds his face into the cage, and Rude tries to escape, but Warrior sees it coming. And then Ravish and Rick Rude tries to hit his Rude Awakening, which is like his neck breaker that he hits. And Ultimate Warrior ended up fighting out of it, and I really liked that sequence there. And Ultimate Warrior hit a clothesline. He tries to hit his splash on Rude, but he ends up getting the knees up. And then Rude hits the Rude Awakening, and he isn't done there. He could have just pinned him and won, because you can also win this. You can win the cage match by escaping the cage or just by pinfall. And Rude goes off the top of the cage and hits an axe handle on Warrior, and he tries to do another one, but Warrior counters into it by punching him in the gut. Warrior Warrior tries to crawl outside the cage, and Bobby the Brain Heenan slams the door in his face, and Rude tries to cover him after that, but Warrior kicks out. And what else happens? Bobby the Brain Heenan gets inside the cage. Warrior brings him in the ring and throws Heenan into the cage, clotheslines him, and hits an atomic drop on him and sending Heenan outside the cage. And then Rick Rude takes him out with a clothesline, but Ultimate Warrior starts to feel the power of the Warriors, starts to feel the Warriors, and he starts shaking. He starts making his comeback. He takes out Rude. He hits his not the Luthez press, but the Gorilla Press slam onto Rude. Then he climbs the cage and ends up escaping the cage, and Rude just gets up right when he gets out. He does Rude's taunt where he does that like manly thing, and he ends up escaping the cage. Ultimate Warrior retains the championship, and then that was the end of the show. I really enjoyed this match. It's one of my favorite matches on the card just because of the chemistry between Rude and Savage. I really like that feud. And I think just because of the Ultimate Warrior character, this was building up Ultimate Warrior to a great championship run. I feel like Ultimate Warrior, everybody underrates Ultimate Warrior. And I really liked it. Ultimate Warrior is probably like in my top 10 favorites ever since I've looked up some of his matches and stuff like that. That was the end of SummerSlam. That was the end of this year's SummerSlam. To be honest with you, I did enjoy the show. Like I said, it does get a little bit weird. I think this isn't as good as the other two SummerSlams, but it is pretty good still. But I liked some of the stuff they did. The second The tag team championship match is pretty good. The first tag team match is good. Uh, Sapphire turning on Dusty Rhodes. I bet nobody ever would expect that Sapphire would turn on Dusty Rhodes like that and go with Ted DiBiase. I thought that was a nice touch. It was a nice surprise. The match between Hogan and Earthquake delivered. The stuff with Jake the Snake Roberts and Big Boss Man I thought was nice. I always liked Jake the Snake. Um, what else? The Warlord and Tito Santana match was an okay match. I thought that was okay for what it was. Um, Missed the IC title match. Seeing Kerry Von Erich holding the IC title was pretty cool, even though he was called the Texas Tornado. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, and what else was good on the show? Nikolai Volkov beating Pro America was just weird, but it was so weird that it was good. I can't complain about it. It got me interested. I was just hooked. The Brother Love show with Sergeant Slaughter was really good. Um, and yeah, the show isn't good just for in-ring components though. It's good for character wise. It's good for storytelling wise, and I do think this show is pretty good. Um, and it's another old school wrestling show that I just love. So I totally would recommend this to you if you have the WWE Network. I totally would suggest that you watch this show. This is one of the shows that you watch, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I really have to say here, and I'm gonna pretty much sign off here. So. If you want to check out my non-wrestling channel where I make non-wrestling videos, Owen the Talkinator is the name of the YouTube channel. You can click right up here. And you can also check out my friend James the Heatman Hebert's YouTube channels, James Hebert and Weymouth Youth Wrestling. He makes custom Titans on James Hebert and Weymouth Youth Wrestling. He's going to be doing that tournament, and I will become the brand new WYW champion. I do plan on doing that, but other than that, that's all I really have to say here. You can click down below to subscribe to me, and I'm going to try to, and yeah, this SummerSlam series review has really been a success so far, so that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.